very difficult on me because I didn't have really anyone to talk to. Actually, more difficult on my son. You know, it's odd when you say survivor. You know, you do mature as you have children, and as you grow older, you mature. But you really never face the finality until something like this happens. Well, my wife and I have two children. Our daughter, Brittany, is 28, and our son, Michael, is 21. We've been living in York most of our life. We moved here from New Jersey in 1991. Both my children are very close to us. Our son now is at Penn State. Our daughter lives in Philadelphia. She's the marketing and PR manager for the Vetri restaurants. It's been a joy raising them both. They've been wonderful kids. They were wonderful when they were young. They're wonderful now, and we're a very close, tight-knit family. I was flying back from China. I was landed at the airport as she was leaving the doctor's office. About a month before she had gone to the doctor when she realized she had a lump on her breast. All the plans were made for me to go to China for work, and I couldn't get out of that. Although I wanted to go to the doctor with her, our very close friend, Cecilia Hoffman, went with her, and she was a godsend. As soon as I landed is actually the same time she got out of the doctor's office, and I called her as soon as the plane landed, and she told me, and I completely broke down. This flight attendant asked me if she could help, and I said no, she really couldn't help. I just found out some terrible news. You know, it was difficult because when she was diagnosed, she has a very visible job and a very demanding job. And she really didn't want anyone in the community knowing until she knew exactly the extent of her diagnosis and what she was going to need to do as far as treatment. It was very difficult on me because I didn't have really anyone to talk to, and actually more difficult on my son. Thought I'd be all right. He was a freshman at Penn State, and it was his first it was his first semester at school, and for him really not to be able to talk to anyone, it was very difficult. And you know, him and I talked, but he really needed a peer that he could talk to and kind of work through it. So I think it was most difficult on him. My daughter at the time was in Australia, so it was very difficult on her too because of the logistics of trying to come home and see her mom. She was able to come home when that Thanksgiving, but when my wife was diagnosed, she wasn't able to just get on a plane and come see us. decided early on, after she let everyone know, that she was going to be very vocal, and if that helped other people in the same situation, her being strong, then it would be a good thing. She was determined to make really a positive out of the most drastic negative that there was. One of the best stories about the whole treatment was about her third chemotherapy treatment. Victoria's hair started falling out. We all know that everyone knows our life on Facebook, and she said to me, "Hey, you have a beard trimmer upstairs, don't you?" I said, "Yeah." She said, "Well, I'd like you to cut my hair off." And I said, "Are you sure? You know, are you really sure you want to do this?" She said, "Yes, because I don't want to be worrying for the next month about my hair falling out every time I take a shower." So we went upstairs, and she documented the whole thing in pictures of me shaving her head. And we actually had a lot of fun with it. And it became, something that we enjoyed rather than something that she was dreading. And she kind of looked at her whole treatment in that respect. She went through chemotherapy, and I know she was tired. I know that it was difficult on her, but she never complained and hardly missed a day of work. And to me, it just showed so much strength and courage. It's odd when you say survivor, because the one thing that her diagnosis did for us, you do mature as you have children, and as you grow older, you mature. But you really never face the finality until something like this happens. Every 6 months she goes and get checked. And you can always tell when that time comes, because at that point she starts feeling every ache and every pain. She says that she's feeling more tired and that she's worried. So this is something that never goes away. Yes, you're a survivor, but your mind is always on that thought of a reoccurrence, and I know it's very difficult on her, and all we can do is try to help her through those times.
Miss Victoria Connor joined us all the way from right over there.
Ain't turning back, living that old life no more. Here we go. Rock me, mama, like a wagon wheel.
It's a funny thing, because my mom did not survive. She's been gone almost 30 years now, 28 years. And unfortunately, her treatment didn't work. And back then, it was a different thing. It was almost, my dad never left the house because he didn't really want to talk about it. And it was almost hidden. A lot of illness back then was hidden, and this especially. And so they didn't lose their friends, but they didn't see their friends. Some friends helped, other friends kind of shied away from them. But my dad just never left the house because he never wanted to talk about it. And he never wanted to talk to us about it. He didn't want to expose us to that. My mom was the same way. She didn't want to expose us to the negatives of what was going on with her. So it was difficult, especially when Victoria was diagnosed. It was very difficult for me to remember what my mom had to go through. We've heard that there's been a lot of positives and a lot of treatments that weren't here 28 years ago. But we really hadn't known a lot of people that had gone through treatment. Since then, we've met a number of wonderful, wonderful people. I can't say it's been a positive venture, but it's really gotten us close to a number of good friends. The one thing I would say to spouses of people with cancer is to talk to them. Don't pity them. I remember when the word got out that Victoria had cancer, going to different places and people looking at me and kind of giving me a sad face and kind of shying away from talking to me, or feeling that they couldn't talk to me, couldn't talk about my wife and her cancer. I think Victoria's attitude towards her diagnosis was a great attitude. She was always upbeat. She was always positive. We all know that right after she was diagnosed, she had already been chosen to be the Grand Marshal for the St. Patrick's Day Parade. And we enjoyed every minute of that. We planned, when her treatments were over, to go on a cruise, and immediately after she was done with her, we went on the cruise. We swam with the dolphins. We had a lot of fun, and I just think the more positive outlook you can have, the better off you're going to be with your health, and the better off your life is going to be. She really continues to live her life. She did write a bucket list. Unfortunately, that bucket list gets longer every day, which is good because it gives us more stuff to strive for. Don't shy away from talking to people. Just ask them how they're doing. They'll eventually tell you how their spouse is doing, how their loved one's doing. But I would say, just when you start the conversation, ask how they're doing. But be positive. The last thing they need is sad faces.